did you want a German Rottweiler?
Because I prefer the breed.
And what about the breed do you like?
They're loyal. They're good dogs.
How many more Rottweilers do you wish to have?
What do you think, Luna? 3 more? Yeah.
Ever since I've met Michael, he's always talked about getting a German Rottweiler. And when we first met, he had land in Georgia, and the idea was for us to move to Georgia. I started researching breeders in Georgia for German Rottweilers, and I found one that seemed to be pretty reputable. So I started following her, and I started researching her, and I never saw anything negative or anything, and turns out she's one of the best in the state. So I followed her for several years, and we bought the land here in Missouri, sold the land in Georgia. Then this past summer, Zeus, we thought we were gonna lose Zeus, and I told Michael that the sadness and the loss of losing a companion that's been by our side for so long was hard to bear. And I told Michael, let's go ahead and get the German Rottweiler for your birthday. So we got on the waiting list, and then Zeus pulled through, and he actually survived. Just a little side note, if you give your dog Bravecto, which is a flea and tick pill, for 3 months, there are ongoing complaints in something like 30,000 dogs around the world that have died from this flea and tick pill. I'm a firm believer that it's what made Zeus's liver functions abnormal, and I'm a firm believer that it is what basically almost killed him this past summer. So much so that at the end of September, when the 3-month pill was supposed to wear off, he made a sudden turnaround and was suddenly fine. And if you look up all the symptoms for toxicity or poisoning or whatever, through that 3 months, he just got perpetually worse. So, at any rate, don't give your dog Bravecto. Before we got on the waiting list for Luna, we had discussions on whether we wanted a male or a female German Rottweiler. Michael, of course, wanted a male, but I, on the other hand, was a little bit nervous because Zeus, when I first got Zeus, I had Rocky, and he was a terrier mutt mix, and they fought, both males, they fought like crazy, and they were just constantly, and with the German Rottweiler being so much bigger than Zeus, I was concerned about the German Rottweiler hurting Zeus and possibly killing him. Male dogs are territorial and they protect the home, whereas females are more about the pack and protecting the pack. So I told Michael, I said, while we're on the truck in the tight quarters, I would hate to have 2 testosterone dogs fighting each other, you know, in such a small space. I'd much rather take chances with having a female. And luckily I have a good husband, and he listened to me and he accepted. So I got on the waiting list for a female German Rottweiler. Once we realized that Zeus was going to pull through, we'd already paid for Luna, and we were like, crap, we're going to have 2 dogs. In October, we got the phone call, or we got a message saying that Luna had been born. At that point, we'd already figured out what her name was going to be. Zeus is, you know, the god of gods, god of dogs, and he has a personality that reflects as such. And Luna is the goddess of the moon, so we thought it would be fitting. So that's how we came up with the name Luna. the things that really concerned me about getting a second dog on the truck, a puppy no less, and one that's much bigger than Zeus. For those of you that don't know, German Rottweilers grow up to be 120 pounds, 140 pounds. That's a human-sized dog on the truck. One of the concerns that I had was essentially, how much space are we going to be losing because of this dog? And all the food that it's going to require, all the exercise it's going to require, etc. Then we'll just take her on lots of walks, and it'll be no different than having Zeus on the truck. And if she gets too big for the truck and we can't handle it, then I'll come off the road and stay home and take care of Luna. And then we'll work on getting another dog for the truck. I was doing a lot of exercise and walking at the truck stops because, you know, back in April we had weight loss surgery, and I was feeling better. I was having more energy myself, and essentially I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go for walks. And I would plan my route around various truck stops along the route, and I would do my exercise and my walks that way. Like this nature trail, for instance, I planned my 30-minute break for this nature trail right here to get some exercise for me and the dogs. At any rate, I was walking along around the perimeter of the Petro in Kingman, Arizona. It's a huge, huge lot. And you can get easily a half a mile to a mile just in one go round. So I was doing my walk, and I had a little Zeus, and we were just walk. I was minding my own business, and I happened to notice a truck pull out of its parking spot and literally followed me around the whole parking lot. Literally followed me all the way around. When I passed the place where I thought he was going to turn off to go on the freeway, he stayed. And I was only, I don't know, I was probably walking, what, 3-4 miles an hour? And he stayed following me all the way around. I eventually cut through some trucks and went back to my truck because I was like, this guy is gonna like look for an excuse to get me. And I haven't walked by myself in the truck stop since because of that. It's, you know, it's scary out here for us females. At any rate, I told that to Michael, and he was like, well, he goes, you know, if you had a German Rottweiler, you wouldn't have that issue. People wouldn't mess with you. And then I was grieving because I was potentially going to be losing Zeus, and I said, okay, let's do it. Let's get a German Rottweiler. I can go for my walks. She can walk with me. She can feel safe. She can get her exercise. I can get my exercise. And then we can, you know, I don't have to worry about it. If somebody follows me, they follow me. But good luck getting past that little monster. You know what I mean? So I agreed. And that's part of the reason why I decided to get an addition to the family. She's got a puppy speed. You getting it? Come on, let's go. Our goal is to teach Luna when she's at work, when we're on the truck, she's at work and she's a guard dog. And as long as she's on the leash or inside the truck, her job is to guard the truck and the people that are in it. When we're at home or she's off the leash, or like it is now, she is relaxed and can run and do as she wishes for exercise and whatnot within reason. the hardest things about having a puppy on the truck is potty training. One thing I read online for helpful tips on teaching her to be, basically let us know when she's got to go outside. They say, remember that a dog, for every month they're alive, is about 1 hour that they can hold their bladder. And that it takes about 16 weeks for them to be able to learn how to control their bladder. So 16 weeks is like 4 months. And she is officially 3 months this weekend. When we first got her, she was going to the bathroom like literally every 5 minutes. And it was like, as soon as we'd get a clean pee pad down, she'd go mess it, soil on it. So it was just like constant, non-stop battle. Basically, now that she's can hold it 2 hours or more, stop in the act. If we catch her in the act, we stop her and we put her outside. We take her outside. But sometimes when we're on the truck, we can't just stop on a dime to take her out. So she's now learning that she gets in trouble if she goes potty inside the truck. And so she's starting to let us know when she has to go. And sometimes we're able to get to a truck stop in time or a rest area, and sometimes we're not. But she'll just use the pee pad and she's okay, and we just clean it up and we just tell her it's okay, it's not our fault. But that's mixed messaging, because then she thinks it's always okay. So it's a real struggle and it's a real challenge. And there's been many times where I'm like, I'm about to throw this dang dog out the window. But the one thing, no matter how frustrating it is, the one thing that you have to keep in mind is that dog did not ask to be on that truck. You brought that dog on the truck. We brought that dog on the truck. So we have to be the responsible owners of the dog. And if we, for whatever reason, which will never happen, but if, for instance, I was you and your patients aren't like mine, and you decide you don't want the dog on the truck anymore, don't throw the dog out the window. Don't leave the dog on the side of the highway for somebody else to run over it and kill it, or for it to starve to death. Because dogs are animals, and at one point they were wild, but they have been domesticated. And when you leave a dog on the side of the road, that dog will literally wait for you to come back. Or somebody else will pick it up. Or while it's waiting for you to come back, it'll be sniffing around, get out into traffic, and get hit by a car. We had somebody back in the day when I was, in my 20s. My mom lived out in the country, and somebody had a Commodore. And I guess that, that dog was too big and too much to handle, and they took him out to the country and dropped him off. That dog stayed out there for several days, and my mom was like, oh, I guess somebody picked up the dog or whatever, or he ran off. And then she saw it lift up its head as she drove by, and she knew that dog was starving to death. She finally got it into her car. The dog was basically on death's door. It was so dehydrated, and it was so hungry and malnourished. So she took the dog home and basically coaxed it back to health. That dog, we called it Rags. Called him Rags. And Rags was a good boy, but he didn't like to stay in the fence. He'd jump over a 4-foot fence like nobody's business. And he had heartworms, and we had to get him treated for heartworms. He survived that. If you leave the dog on the side of the road, it's either gonna starve to death, slow, miserable death, or it's gonna get hit by a car. So if you decide you go in a different city every single day as a trucker, all you gotta do is call a vet's office or call the SPCA and tell them you want to surrender your animal. And somebody will come get you, or they'll tell you how to get to their location. You can get in an Uber. Most Ubers are pet friendly. We use them all the time. So, at any rate, that's all I'm going to say on that matter.